Welcome to the flowerschool.com video library. I'm Leanne Kessler, Director of the Floral Design Institute, here to share with you our latest segment. This time, wrapping gifts with Florist Flair. It's one of my favorite things to do. I know some people hate it, and I will be honest, at one point in my life, I hated it too. But now that I started doing it with a little bit of flair, it's something I look forward to all year long. To get ready, there's a few steps. Here in Portland, it's usually cold and wet and rainy, so one of the first things I do is light candles to get the mood started. Then I turn on Pandora to my Christmas music. Gotta have that. Make sure that it's playing in the background with all my favorite songs. Pour myself a cup of hot cocoa. And normally, I'm not wearing my FDI smock. Normally, I'm in my pajamas. I'm going to be comfortable while I do this. Then I gather everything together, packages, bags, interesting containers, gift bags, all different things, whatever I'm going to use for my wrapping. And then the glue gun becomes my friend, and my junk basket. All the little odds and ends of things that are kind of left over, that's what I use when I'm doing this. It's a great way to use up all those leftovers and make beautiful things. If you're like me, you've got lots of odds and ends of ribbon, just pieces that are always left over. That's the basis for most of my decorating on the packages. I'll make a bow. It can be with a center loop or not, doesn't matter, but just a pretty bow. If you want more instruction on bow tying, check out our flower library. There's a whole segment on tying bows. It can have 2 loops, 3 loops, 4 loops. I loop until I run out of ribbon and just use up the leftovers. Then using a bit of wire, it's a 26 gauge, tie that off tightly. And then clip the wire down. You're not going to use it. That's just to hold it together. I love these takeout containers. They make every gift. It seems so special because they're so bright and festive. So I made Carmelos this year, and I can just package them up, tucking them in. Each box holds 6 or 7, depends on how much caramel I got onto them. Looks like this one I'll hit 7. There we go. Just closing it up. Then lift the handle, take your bow, and just tie it directly to the top. Don't need to wire that on because you don't want the wire to show. You want to tie it in a knot and do that again a second time so that you've got the base to build upon. If you want to make a bow for a regular box, it takes a little more ribbon. So I go back to the bolt, not my snippet box, and I begin by measuring how far around, and then how far around the other way, and then add a little bit to be safe, and I set that aside. Then I go back and I make my bow, just like I did the first time. So a loop, and a loop. And this time I have to decide how many loops I'm going to do because I don't have just the run out of ribbon stage. So I'm going to do 3 on each side, give it a cut. Then before I tie it off, I take that extra bit and I put it centered right behind the bow, and then take my wire once again, wire that off, and give it a twist, and then just like before, cut it off. Then using those tails, just wrap it around the box one direction, bring it underneath, twist back up to the top, and then tie it together. So I just bring it and tie the 2 ends underneath the bow, pulling tautly, and then bring it to the other side of the bow and tie it again so that you've really knotted it well. It's not going to come undone. Then you can go back and spread it back out or leave it bunched. It kind of depends on which you like. The last step is to go through with your scissors and dovetail each end. Now comes the fun part. Turn the music up. Make sure your cocoa's hot. Make sure your glue gun is hot. And then gather just little remnants of the evergreens. Doesn't need very much. Just small bits that you chop down. And then using just a tiny bit of glue right on the stem. Glue it directly into the ribbon. I love juniper. It dries and looks fabulous. And the blue-gray berries are so beautiful with the silver ribbon. You can use noble fir. It doesn't dry quite as beautifully as the juniper, but it's still going to last. Last and last. Probably a week or more. So if you're like me and doing these the last bit before Christmas, it'll be just fine. Going back and adding into the bows. A little more of the juniper. They'll be so beautiful when you're done. You're not even going to want to open them. The package itself is a gift. Now I go back to my leftovers basket and I look for things. It can be simple. Pine cones. You just glue it directly in, kind of lifting and dividing the loops to make some room. Maybe it's a little bit more whimsical. You may recognize this from our modern Christmas centerpiece. These are the leftover little tendrils. Just adding a bit of glue on the end, maybe curling it a slight bit more, and reusing these. They make a wonderful little package addition. Wind it down a little more. Recognize these. We used these in the Christmas Treasures DVD. They were so fab, but now they're left over. So little pieces, glue one end, set it down in, and just wind it through, let it drape. Doesn't even have to glue in more than one spot. These snowflakes, we did a fundraiser for a charity. These were left over from that. Cute little things. I could just glue right in. So you can see, this is where you get to look back and say, oh, I remember using that. Oh, I loved it. Oh, what fun. And give it a whole new life. Something new, something festive, something absolutely beautiful. You can use the same technique with a wine bottle bag and add flowers as well if you want to be a little more special. Just have a single cymbidium orchid in a water tube. Take that and tie it at the same time. You bring your ribbon around, bring it all the way back around to the front, then reach under the bow but over the tube and tie it in a knot. And once again, tie it in a knot to make sure it doesn't come undone. Then you can fluff the ribbon so it covers the tube. Turn it around so I can see. There we go. And then once again, taking your glue gun and then just adding a little bit of glue and right into the loops and decorate it just like the packages. The only problem that I have with all this decorating is that sometimes I run out of packages before I run out of cocoa and before I get tired of singing the Christmas carols. I have been known to wrap empty boxes and decorate them just to have more fun. Nuts? Maybe, but I am a florist, so what do you expect? For more creative inspiration, check out our website at flowerschool.com. If you've got questions or comments, or if you're crazy too, don't hesitate to contact us. My number here at the school is 800-819-8089. And my personal email is Leanne, Leanne, at floraldesigninstitute.com. My wish for you is a happy wrapping and decorating time. Have fun and do something you love.